Welcome back to the show, everyone. It is, what is it, Tuesday, August 2nd. We're in August already. Episode 325. I am stoked about today's show. We got Mike Mal in the studio, Kyle Klingman up in Cedar Pass, Iowa, and they are fresh off.
Cedar Pass, I don't know. I don't get the joke.
Cedar nut, I don't know. Cedar wherever it is. Cedar tree, cedar oak,
cedar bark. I got it. Yeah, okay, fair enough. There's a bunch of them in there. Okay, go ahead.
Every day, it's a new one. But these guys just got back from yesterday?
Nah, about 6 hours ago, 8 hours ago.
8 hours? Oh, so you, okay. Last night.
Yeah.
Right
8 hours ago.
Okay, well, thanks for coming in. Shoot, I just thought you'd have more sleep. But they are troopers. They are back. They were in Rome. The cadet, I swallowed a bug. World Championships. USA kicked ass. Can I say that? I guess it's our show, so we can do whatever we want.
Say our. It's your show. Your name's right there. I don't know if you noticed.
9 medals in freestyle.
Yeah.
They had a champ in Greco. They had some finalists in the women's. And I call you not the odd couple, but opposites attract. They fit perfectly together.
I agree.
How was the trip, Mike? And then we'll hear from Kyle.
Well, the trip was amazing. I don't know if you know this, but Italian food's pretty good. So we had some great food. But as far as the wrestling goes, look, there's a lot of reasons to be excited about USA Wrestling right now. Now, granted, Russia wasn't there, so we're gonna start with that caveat. But man, there was some so there are certain things that in my head I have to check the boxes, and sometimes at age level events you have to temper expectations sometimes with kids that are under 17 being the biggest, the strongest, the most athletic
is a big deal.
Is a big deal, right?
Sure, yeah.
So you see kids that win world titles at a cadet level, and maybe they don't check all the boxes. There's a lot of kids on this team, Luke Lillidahl, Joe Seeley, Max McAnally, that to me, they check all the boxes to have success at the next level and beyond. So, man, if you're just a wrestling fan in the U.S., you've got to be super excited for the prospect of watching a Joe Seeley compete for the next 10 years, 12, 14 years. That's exciting, man, because this kid, he hand fights like a man. Okay, that's fine, because then now you go, all right, well, is he the most physically mature? Yeah, is he the most? But no. This kid has incredible timing. I call it a Haji Aliyev snap. You know, Knox and I have been talking about it for, 7 years, 8 years. And it's like a step and snap at the same time. The kid does it flawlessly. That's hard to do. I know it sounds like, it's just snap down. No. The timing on it is really difficult. He does it so well. He runs corner. He's mean. He's tough. He's technically very sound, like basics. I don't know. I can't say enough good things about this kid, Joe Seeley.
Did you know much about Joe Seeley before, or a lot of these guys before getting to see him in action out here at Cadet? Not Cadet, at U20.
Right, yeah. I mean, we can. I think you like when we're just talking. I think we can call it still cadets, right? I mean, it's cadets. It's fine. Did I know the answer to that when it pertains to Joe Seeley? I would say no. Why though? That is what really has been kind of rattling around in my head. Why do I not know about Joe Seeley, right? Because while I don't spend a tremendous amount of time focusing on high school wrestling, I kind of pride myself on understanding who the top 1% in the country are, and he was not on my radar. Now, it could be because he's going to his third high school in 3 years, and that sends off red flags to college coaches, so maybe they're not buzzing about him quite as much as they would have had he been in one place. Maybe it's because I haven't seen him overachieve at like a next level. Maybe he goes to juniors and does well, or maybe he tries his hat in even a senior level event. So I haven't heard of Joe Seeley. Now, there's been other guys like the kid I mentioned earlier, the McAnallys and the Lillidahls, that yes, they were 100% on my radar, and I knew that going into this event that they would do very well. But there's a couple of sleepers, as far as I was concerned, that, man, they really, really how about the kid, Coy Hopke? This kid, I mean, he doubles up and he wins a world title at 110 kilos against, it wasn't like these kids were, fluffy kids from different countries. These kids were real wrestlers at 110 kilos. And he looked great. He looked absolutely outstanding. So, yeah, there was a couple guys that were not on my radar, but there was a few that were.
Okay. Kyle, question for you. I guess we'll start where Mike started, even though it's just a second. How was the experience and how was the food?
Food was outstanding. We had maybe 2 bad meals, and those were only because we had to stand in line at the arena for those. Outside of that, it was fantastic. The wine was good. Mike had his fill of wine, and he forced me to have a glass a night. So we had a good time, but the food was outstanding.
Head, Kyle, gun to head.
Define forced you. What do you mean he forced you?
2
Peer
on
pressured?
1. 2 on 1. Yeah, he said you're gonna have one.
Look, he got
drink.
2 on 1 and then drink. Yeah, exactly. That was a great time. Beautiful city. It was unreal.
Now, Kyle and I have been to Budapest together.
I was gonna say, you've done a couple of cadets, right?
We have.
Or was it juniors last year?
And no, it was cadets. And honest to goodness, we kind of gone back and forth over the last year and change about like, man, Budapest is like the greatest city. I think Rome might be my new favorite city on earth. I think it might be. I'm telling you.
You're Italian. You're biased.
That's
you like
fine.
Italian food.
But I wasn't. But okay, fine. That's fair.
Embrace the Italianness.
That's fair. However, if you asked me before this trip, I would have said Budapest by far.
Have you been to Rome before this trip?
Yes.
What was the difference on this trip?
The wine was better. It really was. I'm not just saying that. Like, for whatever reason, the wine was better. Now, we knew where to go to. Like, that really helps.
Second time around?
Yeah. Like, kind of knowing the lay of the land was clutch. We knew, and also a friend of mine that is actually considering moving to Rome gave us some ideas on where to eat and stuff like that. And it was the food. I can't get over it, how good it is. Like, it's like ridiculous.
Give me like a dish that you had.
All right. For example, seafood carbonara is something. Now, you know me, Kyle, you know me pretty well. For the people out there in TV land that don't know me, I love to cook. It's one of my favorite things in the world. So I make what I think is a pretty good seafood carbonara.
For an American.
That's actually a good point. Yeah, for an American. Now, every time I go there, I have it. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? This is not just like a little bit better. This is like exponentially better. And I'm finding out that the Italians are holding out on us.
What are they?
So every single recipe that I've ever seen for seafood carbonara is very simple. It's basically bacon or pancetta, and it's egg yolk, and it's pecorino romano or Parmesan cheese, right? You just whisk that up, throw some pasta water in, and that's your sauce, right? Well, I asked one of my Italian friends out there, like, yeah, how come I can't get it to taste like yours? And he's like, oh, it's very simple. We use goat cheese. I'm like, you sons of guns. You're holding out on us. So there's like little things like that I think that they literally hold out on us.
On purpose.
Yes, I think so. And it's like, it makes all the difference in the world. Like that seafood carbonara that you had, geez, what was it, 2 nights ago, Kyle? Was that not incredible?
Yeah. Oh, it was unbelievable. And then I hope you mentioned the sandwich.
Oh, yeah. So a good friend of mine.
Did you take a picture of it and put it on maybe Instagram or
yeah,
something?
I sure did.
I saw a picture you said.
So look, man, I hate to be like grandiose about this stuff.
Does he?
I do.
Does he?
Because if it weren't the greatest thing I've ever had in my entire life, in the 73 years I've been on this earth, I would say so. But it was. And a friend of mine, Mick Ruiz, might be moving out there, was like, dude, listen, you got to go to the sandwich shop. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pay $60 both ways to go into Rome, walk around to find this. Kyle, was it hidden? It was hidden.
It was, and on the post, it was number 1 of 10,000.
Yeah,
remember on the review.
That's true. The reviews, it was number 1.
One of those things.
Yeah, exactly. Number 1 of 10,000.
Wait, okay.
There was not one review that wasn't 5 stars. Not one. And you know how people like to bitch.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
I don't know if you know.
Yeah.
But like, it's like number one of 10,000. And I was like, come on, bro. How good could it be? How good could it be? Mike Mock ordered three sandwiches.
What's on the sandwich?
So it was
Started with the
ham. Yeah. Okay. So the bread. First of all, it's. Don't even get me started on the bread. It's out of this world. And you get three. You have the choice of 3 different types of bread, but we got the pizza, which means that it basically comes warm. Okay, and it's crust on the outside, perfect consistency on the inside as far as soft and warm, and then it goes ham, mozzarella, and and then some type of mushrooms. And I think that there's like this aioli type mayo on it or something. Bro.
I love that stuff.
I'm like, come on. This is the greatest thing I've ever had in my, like, it's like, and I'm going to steal from Kyle right now. This is his line. He just looks up at me. He goes, how am I ever going to go to Jimmy John's after eating this? He was like so depressed about it. He just like
that's all they have in Cedar Fork, Iowa.
I mean, he's just like, how am I ever gonna?
Oh, come on, bro, show us. There we go.
Yes, there it is. Yeah, it was absurd. It was so
looks pretty good.
Dumb how good it was.
That looks pretty good. Okay, okay, James Green. It's like Bill Zanuck wasn't his first stint. It was like 2017, and they won. James, I'm not saying that this. I assume James is a good coach. I don't know that this is necessarily indicative. He didn't train these guys, right? They've come from all over the place. But just talking about James as a coach, his demeanor, his leadership, what you saw out of him at his first time at the helm of a team like this.
I had a very discerning eye. Now, as you know, James and I kind of go back. He wrestled at my club. I didn't train James, but Kyle Brewer did. And so, like, I was very skeptical. If I'm going to be honest, I was skeptical.
When he was a kid or just now?
No, like as he transitioned. Because don't forget, he went, like, if you just look at it brass tacks logistically, he went from being a full-time athlete to being at the helm of our developmental program overnight. Literally, dude. So to me, I'm like, can this guy do it? I think he has the perfect demeanor to develop young athletes. Now, how that will pay off over the next 4, 6, 8 years, I don't know. But I'm just talking about the way that I saw him relate to and convey information to young athletes. It was pretty stellar, because there are coaches that can't do that.
Yeah,
that's a very, very explicit skill set that you need when you're dealing with high level young athletes, right? Those are two very different things. High level older athletes, that's a different skill set, right? So I was pleasantly surprised at the way James, because again, James is not the most gregarious person in the world.
He's reserved.
He's pretty reserved. Yeah. But man, when the attention, when he knew that the attention was supposed to be on him, he was so great with these kids. Right now, I think his natural inclination is to kind of pull back and be a bit reserved. But man, when it was time to, all right, this is where we're going, fellas, let's go, and they go. It was pretty good. Now, again, jury's still out, right? This is first event, right? He's basically capitalizing or cashing in on all the work that Kevin Jackson did over the last few years as a developmental coach. But all indications seem really positive.
Can you give me can you think, I'm asking for more of a specific example. You said the way he communicates, the way he effectively gives information or talks to kids. Can you think, I don't know, taking a kid right off the mat, or 30 minutes after he wrestles, or the next day, or it doesn't even have to be anything like that, but just an example of something that impressed you about.
Okay, so to me, off the mat stuff is easy, especially when you're winning, right? So
pat him on the good job.
Hey, keep doing that, kid. But it was the beforehand stuff that was very, very impressive to me. So think about what that looks like. A kid like, who was the kid that was at 45, the lightest weight class that?
Dominic
Munaretto. Yeah. So young kid, lightest weight class, but he's wrestling guys. It didn't look like he was cutting a tremendous amount of weight to make that weight. But the foreigners were. These are like the kid from Iran that he wrestled, I believe, in the semis was a head taller than him. So, okay, so he's dealing with that. So think about what that looks like. That looks like this kid is warming up before his match in the back room. He is then looking at the TV screen, and then he's going up to the staging area, and then he's waiting patiently there, and then they call his name, and then he goes out to the mat. Well, in all of those stages of pre-match preparedness, there are small windows of opportunity to interject what you're thinking as a coach. And James did that so well. And here's why I say well, because there is such a thing as overcoaching. You can't just like berate this kid with, all right, you got to watch out for his right hand high crotch and make sure that if you do, you don't get snapped. You got one sentence.
Yeah.
You got one sentence at each one of those staging areas, and it had better be focused, and it had better be concise, and it had better really pertain to the match that you're about to have, or else it's lost. It's gone. It doesn't really mean anything. So his ability to hone in on that one sentence, maybe sentence and a half, at each stage of like, okay, this is when he's warming up. This is when he's checking the TV. This is when he's walking up to the. It was pretty impressive.
And it's another a similar maybe realm or examples. When I watch the UFC and a guy, you fight for 5 minutes, you come back to the corner. Kind of the same thing. There's good coaches. Watch out for the left hand. Yeah. Keep your jab up. Keep your hands up. Jab up. When he comes this way, move. Feint. And it's like, and there's somebody behind him barking at him. Somebody's got ice on his head. Somebody's ice on his shoulder. And I'm looking at him like,
this is too much information.
What the hell? No way. And then I went to Greg Jackson's. Izzy was down there, and John Jones trains there, and we interviewed Greg. And I asked him, I said, what's your cornering? I'm curious how you corner. He said, we take turns. It's a calculated thing. Ready? He sits down. Okay. And sometimes he's like, good job. And he just talks, not even strategy. Looking good. I got one thing I say. Keep your left hand up. He's coming over top of there. Keep your left hand up. You're doing great. Guy behind him outside the cage has his chance to talk. One piece of advice.
The best corners I've ever been in, and I haven't been at that high of a level in MMA, but that is spoken about beforehand.
Yeah.
That is, okay, I'm speaking first. When I lift my eyes off the athlete and I look at you, your turn to speak. Yes. And then you look at the next guy. So, yeah, that's a skill. Why do and the same thing has to do with wrestling.
They have to practice it.
You had better practice this. This is like if you don't identify that, and then all of a sudden you have, as a developmental coach, you're not just dealing with the athletes. You're dealing with all their personal coaches. And that's not the same thing as Frank Pirelli at Ithaca. That's not the same thing with Casey Cunningham at Penn State. That's not the same thing with, give it a name, whatever RTC is out there. These are professional coaches. You're dealing with high school coaches. I mean, let's call it what it is, right? Maybe club coaches, but you're dealing with high school coaches. So you know that you had better identify, okay, this is kind of the way we should be conveying this information to our athletes. Overcoaching in these situations is not only is it not beneficial, sometimes it detracts from the it could be from the performance negative. For sure. Yeah, I mean, you get this kid like, holy shit, I gotta watch out for the right hand. It can't. It's not a good thing, right? Like, let the kid go wrestle. So I think his and that really has to do with the leadership that James showed, right? Like he led by example. Like, okay, we're not going to overcoach these kids. They know how to wrestle. Let them go wrestle. So yeah, I can't say enough good things about just day one for James Green.
Sure. All right, I want to switch gears for a second, and we'll come back to USA crushing it in freestyle. Yeah. Greco-Roman, Joel Adams, Kyle. What were your thoughts on this young man? Did he go unscored upon?
He did.
He went unscored upon.
Hey, nobody scored on. Which in Greco is like even harder.
Yeah, because they caution you, put you down.
Because you don't have to get scored on to get scored on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's called what it is. Sorry, Kyle.
Oh yeah, I mean that was obviously a goal for him. Even at the end of his finals match, he was close to getting scored on, and he said afterward that that was something he took pride in, that he was not going to give up that score. So for us to be able to watch that and to see behind the scenes, we were really focused on him with our footage. He was locked in with that Ivanov system. He's from Nebraska, but he goes across the border into Iowa and trains there. But they were absolutely locked in, and they had a system in place, and you could tell it was a high-level athlete going for a gold medal. And he wasn't even sure if he's going to continue on in Greco. That's the funny thing, that he says, yeah, I don't know if my future is in Greco yet, but certainly was that day.
Wow.
I mean, look.
I didn't even keep going. I just won.
Yeah, it's not just that to me, though. Like, this is a well-trained Greco athlete. Sometimes in the U.S., most times in the U.S., we just have well-trained athletes.
Yeah.
That wrestle Greco. This kid knew, like, and it looks different. Like when
what looks different?
The wrestling looks different. Like when we go out to world championships, especially at an age group level, sometimes we just put our best athlete out there. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But it looks the wrestling looks different in Greco when you have a Joel Adams out there who not just learned all the throws that we are supposed to know that should be probably baseline knowledge at a Greco, even age group level, but he also knows how to stay in perfect position. He recognizes the holds when he gets them, and he knows to go on them. So I think it should be an eye-opening experience for the rest of the country that, like, okay, look, there's high-level athletes and then there's high-level Greco athletes. And if you want to win a world medal, there's a good chance you got to start really taking a lot of these skill sets and mixing them in every day. Every day. Every day. Sorry, you gotta. And I think it's valuable, very valuable at every level for you to mix those Greco skill sets into your training every single day. And I might be in the minority in saying that, but I think it's very valuable. I think it'll pay off in dividends down the line at every single level, folk style and freestyle too.
Okay, that's my question. So you think these folk style and freestyle wrestlers should work on Greco skills every day?
It is so valuable to be well versed above the waist that it's unbelievable. And it might not come back to bite you in the butt until the Olympics, but it will come back and bite you in the butt eventually. Because there are positions that we simply in this country aren't well versed enough in, and that
we're not comfortable, and you can see
or we like, oh gosh, all right, Kyle Dake. Let's talk about Kyle Dake. He is very comfortable wrestling upper body, but no one else in this country is, especially at 74. Look at the best guy at 74 for the last decade. Well, it's been Jordan Burroughs. You ever see him throw anybody? I haven't, right? So Kyle gets into that body lock position so often in this country. And I'm not saying guys turn down. They don't turn down, but they just don't have counter-offensive tactics that they can go to immediately when Kyle gets a body lock. And Caddy does. And Caddy wrestled with him in the position.
The one time.
And the one time in the Olympics.
The one time.
And it came back. And it, like, so, I mean, that's a very, finite.
But back to your point, you right before that, 2 minutes before that, 30 seconds before that, you said it might not come back to bite you until the Olympics. And then you come back with an example.
Yeah, of the Olympics. And it hurts to say that, but I think if this country was better versed in upper body attacks, Kyle Dake's a world champion, or he is a world champion, but an Olympic gold medalist. I really do believe that. I think he's better than Sidakov. I think he can shut Sidakov down. He just found one position that he got beat in. One position. So yeah, it's that important. It's that important. So collectively, we need to get better there.
I want to see Dake versus Sidakov.
Yeah, I'd give a pinky. This one's beat up anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
Give a pink.
Well, hopefully.
I
Another reason that we hope, aside, I hope the conflict over and Ukraine ends, but selfishly also because I'd like to see that match happen.
for sure.
All right, Kyle, another question for you. On the women's side, who impressed you? Who caught your eye? Who impressed you?
Well, I mean, it's crazy to think Audrey Jimenez might still be the best wrestler in the field, but she didn't even wrestle. She didn't even win a match.
Right.
And she had an Italian girl and a Japanese girl in that weight class that were phenomenal. And that just shows you the depth of having Japan in the field. They weren't there last year, so the United States women won their first U17 World Championship last year. This year, Japan showed that we were missing, and they were really, really good. And I'd love to hear Mike's take on this too. India has gone all in on wrestling. It's incredible. And what they've been able to do just across the board with men's freestyle and women's freestyle. I think Mike had a take that they're like the Americans in conditioning, Iran in their underhooks, and Russia and something else. Mike can elaborate on that, but they've come to play ball.
1 billion people.
Yeah, that seems like a lot. It seems like a lot.
1 billion people.
Look, I spoke to a couple people at UWW. I spoke to our friend Kadir, who is a photographer for UWW. India's all in. India's all in, and I'm gonna say it. Like they're probably age cheating at a U17 level. I mean, it's not an ugly secret. Like there's news articles about it. Like they had like over 30 kids that got caught age cheating at their own. So it's like I'm not breaking any
At their own,
news.
like,
Yeah. So it's like I'm not breaking any news here. And some of the U.S. coaches were like, well, F them or screw them. They're cheating. I said, wait, hold tight. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just saying it's an indicator that they care. I'm not saying it's a good thing. It's not a good thing. I don't want them to cheat. But I'm saying they don't cheat if they don't care. Okay? Sure. Now, so obviously they care. That's number one. Number two, there is a tremendous amount of time, money, and resources being put into wrestling from their government. That's important because now these U17, U20, U23, and senior level athletes have a feeling that they're going to be taken care of if they do well at this. They can change their life through wrestling. Okay? That's important. Now you say that and then you go, well, they're age cheating. I get it. Look, if you can change your life as a 17-year-old kid, I'm sorry, probably 19-year-old kid. If you could change your life as a 19-year-old kid.
But do you mean them winning a cadet title changes their life?
I think so. There was a parade for the kid. There was a freaking...
Bo Bassett had a parade. It doesn't mean his life's changed.
That's fine. I think it's different there. I think this kid... I think that if you win it dramatically changes your stars.
And I guess another thing I was thinking of, age level cheating, it's wrong, it's bad, it shouldn't do it. Will it benefit them in the long run?
No.
Could it hinder them in the long run?
100% doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is that when this kid goes back, there might be, I'm not saying it's a house or even a car, but there's something waiting for him that significantly changes his life. It was a significant uptick in his life. Okay, even if it's $1,000 US, something tells me that is significant enough for them to kind of pull out every stop and go, I got to win this world title. I got to win this world title with a full beard. And my kids on the side. But
that girl that wrestled Erica Pastoriza was a monster. Yeah. She was unbelievable. She just was solid.
Well, that's to your point. Okay, or maybe are they older? Yeah, fine, but they can wrestle, right? And I think I said it on the broadcast too, Kyle. What I found is they have plucked some of the best attributes from the 3 best wrestling countries in the world, and they have adopted it themselves. They took our motor. They're well-conditioned athletes. They are not getting tired, especially in a 4-minute wrestling match, right? They're well-conditioned athletes. So they plucked our motor, our conditioning. Yeah. They took Iran's really solid foundation and position game, right? They don't come out of position.
Yeah.
They don't give up points. And then they're working on their athleticism like the Russians are. The Russians are better athletes, purebred across the board athletes than most of the world. And they kind of plucked that. They're using some more dynamic technique now. That seems like a recipe for success to me. Like, these kids can wrestle too. Like, I don't want to detract just because people have said that they're aged here.
Well, and then I thought of this jokingly, but I actually kind of mean it seriously. You said maybe there's not a house or a car, but maybe there's something waiting for him. Like, could it be a wife, right? And I kind of joke, but like from what I understand, there's kind of a caste system, so you can't marry outside of your. And if you're down here, you're stuck, and you got to find somebody down here. And usually your parents are helping to arrange that marriage.
Sure.
Now maybe speculation completely on my end. Maybe you win, and somehow that ticks you up a notch or ticks you up.
Does that change your life? I think so.
That will definitely change your life.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
so I don't know, and maybe we have Vinay on one time, and he kind of breaks it down for us one time. Vinay is a guy on Twitter that we've kind of become friendly with at different events, yeah. And so, he lives there, so he'd have a far better understanding than us. But I think when we, as Americans, interject or look at it through our lens and interject our ideals into the situation, it's not 100% fair.
Sure.
It's not 100%
Because their world is
their
different.
circumstances are very, very different. And I'm not saying that like, oh, poor them. No, I'm not feeling bad for them. I'm just saying that their society is just a little bit different. Their culture is just a little bit different than ours.
I went over there once, and it's vastly different.
Okay. I was downplaying it, but yeah.
Highlights of the tournament of the trip inside the arena and outside of the arena. And Kyle, the same question for you. So
Okay.
either guy can go
Kyle,
first.
you want to go first inside the arena? Go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. Inside the arena, Joe Seeley was my highlight. Just watching him absolutely dismantle the field. And in the finals, he's wrestling an Italian, Cazzo, I think was his name, in Italy. And they wanted him to win so bad, and it didn't even affect him. I mean, this guy is next level, and what he's doing and the technique. He was just, for me, the most fun to watch. And then just that Mike and I took advantage of going to Rome in the morning when no one was there. We got there about 6:30 and saw the Coliseum with the sunrise coming up.
Oh, no way.
I just won't forget that. That was incredible. Mike even got a picture of me, and my mouth is just like a gape. And
How could it
we're
not
walking
be?
through the city. Yeah, we were walking through the city, and it's kind of like we own the city because no one was really out. And I'm glad we took advantage of that. That was an incredible moment that I'm going to have for the rest of my life. So those two stand out.
All right.
Inside the arena, Max McAnally. I think I said it to you, Kyle, while the kid was wrestling. Now, don't get me wrong. The kid lost in the semifinals to Krugliev's cousin. Cousin? Did we say cousin? Was that what it was?
I think it was cousin.
Yeah, same last name. Krugliev, who took David Taylor to the brink in 2018, if I remember correctly, Kyle. You were there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was working for the enemy.
The enemy, right? But yeah, so this kid could wrestle. But what I said to Kyle in the venue at the time was, I want my son to wrestle like Max McAnally. Right?
That's a compliment.
That's a big compliment.
That's huge.
That's a huge compliment because, well, what does that mean? That means that he had brick it up defense. Brick it up. I'm talking like stalwart, hips down, head up, perfect position defense. His legs looked like they were, 3 miles away from you. So there's that, right? Like, scoring on him was very difficult. And then that doesn't mean that he was not offensive, because he was. Every shot he took, he scored on. Not every. I'd say 90% of the shots that he took, he scored on. So he wasn't taking frivolous shots with his head down just to get to a leg and then scrambling it out. I'm talking every time he got to a leg, he scored. And so between that brick it up defense and that high level scoring offense, he was really, really impressive. Now, again, he kind of ran into a buzzsaw in the semifinals, wrestled back for bronze, and looked great. But in the arena, that's really what stood out to me. outside of the arena. No, look, it's funny because Kyle and I talk about it all the time. I just get lucky a lot. Like I walk through life and I walk through the fire usually unscathed, and I step in a lot of crap along the way. We go to this Leonardo da Vinci Interactive Museum on a whim. Honestly, it was an excuse to go to that sandwich shop. If I'm going to be completely honest,
you were there for the sandwich shop.
Right.
You saw the museum.
Yeah. So we were like, okay, we're going to meet Mike Mock. Mike Machiavello came with us, and we went to this museum, and it was cool. It was fine. It was really nice. But we come out of the museum, and we like, oh well, there's St. Peter's Basilica. We should definitely go check that out. I mean, since you're here, right? So we start walking up, and the crowd starts, whoa! The whole crowd starts popping off.
And you guys?
No.
Oh.
So that's funny.
Like, what?
Mike Mock was like, what are they all yelling about? I'm like, they heard a 2018 NCAA champion from NC State was here. And he's like, what? No. Yeah. So then we look up, and there's the Pope. Addressing
the Pope?
The Pope was addressing everyone. We're like,
it's the Pope.
What do you know? Yeah, he's the Pope guy.
He's giving mass.
Yeah, and there it was. And like we looked at our watch, and it was like noon on a Sunday. I'm like, duh. You know? but yeah. So it's just like it was the happenstance of it all. Yeah, it was great. It was an amazing experience, and Rome is probably my new favorite city in the world.
It was better than Austin?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow, Austin's pretty awesome. It's
It's
probably a few hundred years newer too.
Yeah, but that's not a good thing. Yeah, no. The fact that so you say it's thousands of years newer, but
what am I talking
the ancientness of it is what kind of intrigues me because
Sure.
like there's like we were obviously we saw the Pantheon and we saw St. Peter's and we saw the Colosseum and we saw all these incredible monuments. But then I turned to Kyle as we're walking and I'm like, you see that brick wall over there? He's like, yeah. I'm like, that's older than anything in the U.S. Anything, like period. The end. And so like the fact that there's no pageantry or no around this brick wall that's been there for 2,000 years is like that's bananas to me. So yeah, I think it's probably my new favorite city on earth.
No bathhouse though.
No, they didn't have the sauna
in
and
Budapest.
bathhouse. Now I will say this: that we could have went to a gym that probably had one. It was in between our place and the venue, but no, I didn't. There was no bathhouse, and that place was pretty dope.
Yeah,
That place was pretty dope.
Okay. Team USA straight dominated in freestyle, men's freestyle. Were you surprised?
No,
Not even a little?
no. Was I surprised that they won a team championship? No.
But they
dominated that way. Yeah, maybe a little. Okay, yeah, maybe a little. Like so, you know.
Well, four champs?
Yeah, four champions. 3 on the second day, 1 on the first day. Boy, oh boy! I knew they had a good team.
Yeah.
I knew they were going to compete well, and I knew that Russia was going to be there. So all we had to do was not be on the same side as Iran, and you're in good shape to win a medal. That said, you still got to go do it.
Yeah.
Right. So, but the kids went and did it as advertised. Some of these kids are as advertised. Like the kid Sealy. Like I said, I hadn't heard of him walking into that event, but everybody in the know was like, this kid's for real. His kid's for real. So he is as advertised, and he seems like he's pretty into it. So, and then some of the younger cats like Numeretto and Koi Hopke, McAnally, they're as good.
And then we haven't even mentioned one of the great moments, the new flying squirrel with
Oh my
Christian
God,
Castillo.
Castillo.
Bro. It was...
I mean, come on.
That was unreal. That was unbelievable, man. Yeah, like I can't even wrap my head around it because it seems like a month ago. It really does.
Like 3 days ago.
I literally have been in an airport or on a plane for the last 28 hours. So, man, I forgot about that. I completely forgot about it, and it was shocking in the moment, like super shocking in the moment, and like to sit there. We didn't unpack it until that night. Like we couldn't like until we sat down for dinner. We couldn't this kid just jumped over him. with 2 seconds left. And what are you talking about? Unbelievable. If you haven't seen it, go see it. Like, just go on our Instagram. I'm sure it's on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but unbelievable stuff.
And the other thing, too, is that we're talking about 4 gold medals. I think we were on the cusp of getting 6, maybe 7, because we lost some in the final seconds on a couple of those silvers where we could have almost run the table, gone 7 for 7 in gold medal finals.
Yeah.
I mean,
kid, who is the young man that got headlocked twice in the last minute?
Well, Castillo came down to the end. I think that was a
no, it wasn't Castillo.
Yeah.
I forget. But one of the young men was up by a bunch. He was up by like 6. Gets headlocked twice in the last minute of the match, and loses, unfortunately, for the U.S. But I'm sure he learned some lessons in that.
it was 11 to 10.
Who was it?
He's going to Penn State. Just can't think of his name right
Kasich?
now. Yeah, Kasich.
Yeah, Kasich.
Tyler. Yeah.
Yeah, again, upper body attacks that we're not because every youth coach in the country tells their kids headlocks are bunk.
Headlocks are good if you know how to do them.
Obviously, right? I mean, ask Tyler Kasich. So like it's positions like that we're not well versed in. We're not well, and we if we don't make it a because I hear the not just the developmental coaches, but Zadok and those guys saying, all right, we got to get better in ties, right? That means we're getting last year at the World Championships, senior level World Championships, we were getting pushed around by Iran in those underhooks. We really were, and that was true, not just at seniors but also at juniors. Well, that seems like a trend, right? Like, hey, these guys are controlling the ties, so we made it a priority. We as a coaching staff, USA made it a priority to get better, and it worked. We got better this year so far, right?
Yeah.
Just U17, but we saw the fruits of our labors. We have to start doing this stuff. They have to start cross training with Greco guys. They have to. It's a great skill set to have.
All right, cool. Okay, we've talked a lot about Cadet Worlds. Now, Mike, since you are our guest for today, we got a little game we play at the end of the shows. Okay, it's called Sweat It Out. And Kyle Klingman's got some questions.
Oh, no. This is going to be bad.
Yeah. May have something to do with wrestling, may have something to do with wine, may just be for fun. I don't know. It could be Jersey, could be anything.
Yeah, it could
But
be
Kyle,
anything.
whenever you're ready.
Our game, Mike, called Sweat It Out. 5 questions, hoping to make you sweat. Are you ready to play?
I'm ready to play, Kyle.
Okay. Number one. There have been 5 U.S. presidents who have lost the popular vote and won the presidency through the Electoral College. Name one.
Donald Trump.
Yep. Good job.
That's what that's for? You son of a gun. I'm like, why has he got a bell?
Who are the other 4?
Rutherford B. Hayes, John Quincy Adams, Benjamin Harrison, and George W. Bush.
Okay.
All right, good to know.
Number 2, true or false? The pyramids are precisely aligned to the true north.
Okay, they're off by about a degree. Well, 1.1 degree.
Are they really?
Yeah. They're
where I look.
So
Did he stump you?
no, so they're off by about 0.1 degrees.
You said what?
0.1. No, 0.1. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, they're like, so, but they're, I'm such a nerd.
Did you guys have a conversation about this or something? Or
No,
did this
he knows
come out?
that I'm a dork when it comes to the pyramids. That's why.
Okay.
So they think, though, that when they were built, the constellations would have aligned perfectly to see true north with their, yeah. So when they were built, they were probably built through, like, at true north, but over time, the planet starts to wobble a little bit, and it's probably off by 0.1 something degrees.
So did he get that right?
I mean, it was initially true. So, I mean, when they built it, it was built at
So
true
then-
north.
Well, we don't know that. We know there's no record of what. How are they built, Mike?
So you really want me to get
No,
into this?
no. Let's go. Question number 3.
Because like I haven't slept in a while.
They
I
got
could do this for
another
an hour.
studio show in here.
I
after
could
this
literally
one.
do that for an hour.
I'm sure.
All right,
Okay,
number
we'll give it to
3,
him.
All right. You're known for the catchphrase "Cut it." Who said this movie line? Cut me, Mick.
Oh, come on.
It's Rocky. I mean, it's Sylvester
Yeah.
Stallone. Rocky.
Okay,
All right, number
if
4.
you now make he's 3 for 3. That number 3 would seem pretty easy.
Well, I don't know.
If you got to crank these up a little bit, don't
Why
let him
you why you want him to like go full on level 5 on me? Relax,
all right, go.
shake it out.
Go ahead.
Number 4. What New Jersey state champion played the role of Kyle in the wrestling movie Win Win?
Alex. Shit. I trained him. Schaefer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got it.
He used to come to me
And
for
number
privates.
Really?
Yeah, his dad
didn't
used to
know
drive him
that.
like an hour and a half to come to me for
Amazing.
privates. Yeah,
That's fantastic.
and he used to hit this awful like kind of foot trip to a headlock type of thing, and I told him it was crap, and he won a state title doing it. So
Hey, you're the guy.
I'm the guy. I'm the guy.
You're the problem.
I was part of the problem for sure. Sorry. Go ahead.
4 for
Final
4.
one. Where was former Major League Baseball player Tony Gwynn born?
He lives in Poway now.
He played third base for the Padres, right?
Padres, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, great batting average.
I'll just
He
say
did,
San
right?
Diego. I'll just say San Diego. I don't know.
Poway, California.
Yes. Oh, I was right. Yeah. So he lives in. Miami. No.
I like how he said it.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, hey, Kyle, I got one for either of you. I just happened to be on Wikipedia yesterday looking up NCAA champions, right?
Okay.
When was the last year that there were no repeat NCAA champions? So this year, right? There was nobody won it 2 years in a row.
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm just taking a
I don't
guess.
know, 2010.
You know,
Well, you don't know either.
I do know. I do know.
He said 2010.
Oh no, 1985.
1985. Yeah.
I don't know.
Nobody from 84 won in 85. Other than that, you've had a repeat champ
Every year. Huh?
every year.
Oh,
And
that's
in a lot of
cool.
cases, multiple.
Yeah, of course. Huh.
Yeah.
There
Pretty
you go.
cool.
And the
I
more you
stumped
know.
Kyle Klingman.
There you go. The more you know.
Proud of
One
you.
for me. All right, guys. Final words from either of y'all. Thoughts on Cadet Worlds, upcoming junior, senior, 23s, NCAA, anything you want to talk about. We can talk about.
Kyle, you want to go first?
My final word, just going back to the James Green conversation, is that you're talking about a legend of that position and Kevin Jackson, developmental coach. You couldn't talk about a different personality than James Green. I mean, those guys are total opposites in how they execute and how they perform, but I think both are going to be effective. And then just thinking about the 45 kilo weight class, we've won that 3 years in a row. Of course, 2020 was COVID, but you want to talk about just 3 different styles. Last year, Bo Bassett was behind in every single match and then got techs. Dominic was really good, but had a tight match. And then Mark Anthony McGowan, different. And then just the legacy of the heaviest weight class. Cadet World started in 2011 again. And we've had Gable Stevenson, Greg Kirkfleet, Coy Hopkey, last year Jimmy Mullen, Jordan Wood, Adam Kuhn. It's cool to see that legacy going strong.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing stuff, man. Look, those kids absolutely killed it out in Rome. I'm excited to see our juniors in Bulgaria, and seniors should, by all accounts, they should. I'm not sure they should win, but they should win. They should definitely win. I want them to win really, really bad, but Iran's tough. Iran is tough, and it's going to be really hard to beat them. But I think they should win.
Don't we have 5 or 6 champions?
Mm-hmm.
Gilman, Dake, JB, Taylor, Cox. 6.
Snyder.
Holy, 6
Yeah,
6
so
out of 10 have
6
titles.
have
And
gold
how many
medals.
titles? Jordan's got
You know,
6. Kyle's got 4 or something like that.
I like our
3, I guess.
chances at 61 as well. I love Seth Gross. I love the way he's wrestling right now. I really
Out of his
do.
skin.
Yeah, I just and you add to that the fact that we do well our freshman campaign generally. You know, the more time we give those foreigners to look at us, the usually it doesn't work out as well. But man, Go scramble with that guy for 6 minutes. These guys are going to be huffing and puffing pretty bad. And then Yanni, I think, is due, man. I think he's going to break the cycle or the streak of medalists at 65. I really do. I'm excited for it.
I love that. All right, folks, that's going to do it. Mike, appreciate you coming in the studio. Kyle, appreciate you guys just straight off planes. You've been overseas for a week, probably longer, actually. So thanks so much. Appreciate it. We'll see you all tomorrow. Have a great day. Adios.